Welcome to another inspiring episode of the No Limits Life podcast. I'm your host, Nordine, joined by my co-host, Ken.
Hey, Nordine.
Today, we're diving into the world of culinary innovation, wellness, and the power of food to heal, nourish, and transform lives. Our guest today is a true pioneer in the world of conscious cuisine, a best-selling author and a visionary leader whose influence stretches from the kitchens of luxury resorts to the boardrooms of healthcare companies. Cooking is not just about feeding the body. It's about nourishing the soul, creating connection, and inspiring transformation. Our guest today, Chef Cary Neff, is a culinary innovator who has redefined healthy dining for the modern world. Known for his groundbreaking work as the founding executive chef of the world-renowned Miraval Life in Balance Resort, Chef Neff is a trailblazer in the plant-forward movement and the creator of Conscious Cuisine, a philosophy that celebrates wellness through vibrant, flavorful, and nourishing dishes. From luxury hotels to healthcare systems, Chef Neff has transformed the way people experience food, providing that healthy eating can be both delicious and transformative. Please join us in welcoming a culinary changemaker who has dedicated his life to creating food that heals, empowers, and inspires.
Hey,
Chef Cary Neff.
I appreciate
Should
that,
I call
man.
you Chef like I always do?
Yeah. That's my moniker, man.
It's so awesome to have you here. And I'm a little nervous with him because he's so, bigger than life.
I'm nervous. I know I'm going to get hungry by the time this is
I'm
over.
reading this and I'm like, wow, what am I going to ask this guy? But I know now what I'm going to ask you. Before we dive into this incredible journey, I'd love to get you through today's quote, the quote I just read. I'm going to read it again. Cooking is not just about feeding the body. It's about nourishing the soul, creating connection, and inspiring transformation. How does this idea resonate with your approach to food and the impact you hope to make through your work?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. It's very much more than just feeding the body. And it's interesting, that question, because I just wanted to eat really great food. Mm-hmm. My family grew up, of course, in soul food, and it was all about what was. We use food to celebrate. We use food to mourn. We use food to comfort and nourish, and it was all about the flavor. But as I understood it more and understood my responsibility more as a person, first as a chef, but also as a father, right? It was important that it provided more than just great flavor. Mm-hmm. It had to be great flavor, but also provided some type of wellness or strength in order to empower. My entire first part of my career, I was very fortunate in working with some of the top restaurants and hotels around the country. Really some of the leading chefs, and it was all about the flavor. We would add just very unique ingredients just to make it over the top. The whole point was how to make it very, very satisfying and extremely memorable, but also craveable. Mm-hmm. Nutrition, wellness, none of that was the farthest thing from our mind, okay? But then when my son and my daughter was born, right? My daughter was an extremely picky eater, and she's about 4 years younger than my son. And it was just a matter of me making a point to make sure she had the right nutrition, because she just wasn't eating enough food, okay? So I knew what nutritional attributes she was having, how many vitamins, how many minerals, how many calories
Already
she was
based
doing.
on love.
It was. But now also it had to be enjoyable for her to eat. And so then I looked at my son, who is now in his going into junior high. He was, I think, 5th and 6th grade, and he's basically growing. And I started coaching, and I noticed some of the kids coming out to the game. Not only did they have the fundamental basketball skills, and that's okay, we're going to learn it, but they're all overweight. Right, like majority of them.
Your passion then.
Exactly.
Setting, yeah.
So as a chef, but also as a father, I had a responsibility. Yeah. Right, and so as I started making, healthy snacks such as trail mix for my basketball team, rather than Doritos and Coke that I seen the other kids have on the other end of the court, I also saw that my guests, as I changed my menu every season, I changed my menu every year. Is that enough for them?
Yeah. So I can see that passion coming.
Yeah.
You going from your passion for cooking and the love for your kids, and then on the basketball field, looking at other kids that are not your kids, and why do I care, right? But no, you look at these kids and you want to help them. Let me remind you something. The first thing you said to me when I met you at Miraval, when I started being a team there, and when it was barely starting, right? You were the second person that Joseph DeNucci at the time, CEO of the company, introduced me to. And the first thing you said to me, I make healthy food tasty. Yeah. I make healthy food tasty, which is the opposite of what we see in the world, right? Yeah. Everything that tastes good is bad.
Right.
Right? Everything that tastes
no kid wants to eat healthy
bad
good food.
Is good for your health. Right. But you said that to me.
Yeah.
What made you say that to me?
Well,
that was the first thing you said to me.
For my career, I wanted to open the spa in order to get that credential of saying that I can work in this wellness deal. But as I understand,
but not any spa.
Well, the difference is in all of the leading spas at that time, I encouraged the ownership and the management to allow me to visit them. And I noticed that while I visited them, they did a really good job of making healthy food, really low calorie, low fat, and all those things. But it didn't taste good because they were taking things out. They were using artificial ingredients. And so I couldn't do that, and I just couldn't do it, all right? And so my point was I'm going to make this food to taste extremely well and is also going to be good for you. And it's kind of simple. And what I mean by that is that the simplicity of it, what defines healthy, all right? Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, all right? Responsible portion, all right? Great seasoning, herbs, spices.
It's not by accident that you were chosen by Oprah to be on her show.
Oh, that was fun, man.
For your book, Conscious Cuisine. How was that experience? I mean, tell us. She's bigger than life as well, so tell us.
Well, it was an amazing experience. It was that the opportunity is when she came to the resort and feeding her every single day and seeing. I was also the F&B, so I can go inside the room and change out the dishes and so forth. But seeing her basically mark up my entire book, so I knew kind of there. But the opportunity of being there in Chicago, where my family and my friends were there and in the audience, right? It was that encouragement and change of lifestyle. So. It was we were doing really, really well. The resort was doing really well. I was doing well, and the book was doing well.
And you went even better after that.
That was the golden egg, was the Midas touch that just changed everything.
I remember you calling me the night before, and you said to me, Nordine, you son of a gun. And I was like, what are you talking about? Well, Oprah asked me to choose 2 dishes, and I chose one of them has your name.
Yeah.
What was it? What was the dish?
Yeah, it was a Nordine Puncher smoothie.
Power Punch.
Power Punch.
Oh, Power Punch.
And so he had made it. Yeah. He made it there, and then
I've never got a Nordine Power Punch. I don't understand.
You were so nervous.
I was extremely nervous.
And you were introducing me basically on the show. Thank you. Yeah. By the way, I was on the show indirectly, but I said Nordine's wife, blah blah. 2 times years. I said. 2 times Mr. America. And I was never Mr. America. Where did you get that from? You were so nervous.
Mr. America for me, man.
It was so. And my kids were little. Oh my God! Look, chef. But no, that experience must have been so, impressive.
To be honest with you, the biggest thing for me was about my family. I mean, my mom and my brothers were in the audience. My best friend was in the audience. I was representing all of them. Yeah. And so I can feel that cheer, and I could only hear their voices when I walked through. But the fear of 6 million people watching you at the same time was also daunting, but also what we can bring back to the resort.
And you know what happened?
Yeah.
We had to hire a team of people the same day to answer calls. I think there was like 20 people in the room. And we booked the resort for 2 years consecutively, solid.
Yeah.
Because of that one show.
Yeah.
The power of Oprah.
And you probably sold a couple books because of it.
We sold a couple. It sold out like immediately. Yeah. We could not get the boat here from China fast enough.
Yeah. Well, I knew you're going to make me hungry during this podcast because I was just in Chicago. They have great food in Chicago, and you're talking about Oprah being in Chicago. But I'm curious about this conscious. It's hard for me to say the word.
Cuisine?
Conscious cuisine.
Yes.
Tell us about that, and what's it all about?
Conscious cuisine is just being more mindful, more consciously aware of where our food came from, or is coming from, how it's being prepared, and its nutritional value, right? And that it means that I'm making a conscious decision to saying that I'm being honest with you.
Did that all start from your daughter then, that whole thing with your daughter?
Well, yeah, because I became more consciously aware of what she was eating every day.
Right.
But Miraval was about mindfulness, being present and being mindful in the moment. And I wanted the food style to basically represent that as well, right? And so it wasn't a mindful cuisine. We need to be more consciously aware of everything we put in our body all the time. And so the example I was going to give you is that I had a number of bananas overripening, all right? And when that happens, I just throw it in the freezer, all right? And so I made some banana bread the other day, and I said, you know what? I'm going to make some banana ice cream. So I had banana and chocolate and walnuts.
Oh my God.
The chocolate and walnuts is good for you. Bananas is good for you, but the cream and eggs isn't. But the point is that being conscious about how I'm going to have this treat.
Right.
The portion size of that treat doesn't mean I can't have it anymore.
Right.
All right. I now need to make a conscious decision.
So I can't eat a quart of it at a time.
No, and not at 11 o'clock at night right before you go to bed.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Damn it.
All right. And so it's not eliminating, as what the other spas and other things were doing, is eliminating the fat and the sugars and the flavor.
And that's what we did well by allowing people choices, even about drinking. You know, it's not that they're not allowed to drink, but there is a certain time that they could do that between 4 and 10, and we had a place for that if they wanted to. And guess what? People really drank in moderation.
Exactly.
They didn't go crazy. Why? Because it wasn't a taboo.
Yeah.
You know.
But I fought to make that happen, and the premise behind that, if we elevated the quality of it, all right, and so what other people's call brand would be our well. All right, and now this really savor every drop or every taste of whatever that spirit was or whatever that wine was. But now we're savoring it. Is drinking it.
So you're not just drinking it like water.
Exactly.
You're appreciating it, and you're wearing it.
And one of the things that I really appreciated and I loved about you, Chef, is that you allowed other team players, other department, to create synergy between your department and ours. For instance, you mentioned that to me one day, and you said, before I wrote my first book, Mind Over Body, and you said, and before you wrote your own Conscious Cuisine, and you said, hey, why don't we write a book about conscious eating and conscious exercising?
Yeah.
And we start thinking about
Well, they go together, that's for sure.
Yeah. And so we created that synergy between the fitness and wellness department, where all classes were based on consciousness. We started all classes with, parameditation. We wanted to bring that, that theme, of mindfulness. But I think we elevated that to more of a personal choice, where people did not have to come to do 10 classes a day, as other places were telling their guests to do. It wasn't a retreat to, distress by doing 12 classes, because it defeats the point.
Yeah.
You have to go with your heart. And we had those classes, we had that cuisine available, but it was always about consciously choosing what you wanted to.
And what predicated that was we had a rapid success at that time, and things were going extremely well, but I had a dreaded phone call, all right? And my father and mother was up in Scottsdale, and the call was my father just had a sudden heart attack.
Oh, no.
All right? And so my father grew up in New Orleans, migrated to Chicago in the 50s. I'm the youngest of 5 guys. I have all of this amazing success. I have one of my best friends is one of the top fitness instructors in the world and accomplishment. I'm making this great food, and he now is suffering from an illness related from food-related illnesses, right? He had gout. He had diabetes.
Your father, that
yes. All right. He had hypertension. He wasn't obese, right? But he walked a little. But a lifestyle, an entire lifetime of unhealthy foods.
Right.
Okay. All right. And so it was too late. All right. It was too late and my book was really directed to the professional chefs, and it wasn't really directed to soul food in my family. Right. And so my point to Nordine at that time is that the need and the collaboration of nutrition and fitness is so important, all right? And so if I can now impart that to others in the same age or geographic or demographic of my father, we can save some lives.
Sure.
Right? And so it changed me. All right?
Saving one life makes it all worth
it changed me. And so I left there. Left Miraval and left high-end resorts and feeding the 1%ers and saying, how can I reach a larger audience,
sure.
Right? And so I went from there to start working with McDonald's and working for K through 12 schools.
Yeah, and the kids are the most important, right? Because they're going to have that forever.
Exactly, and senior living as well, right? And then eventually I was starting working for healthcare and senior living. But the point is that it would have been extremely advantageous for my career to stay inside this high-end luxury 5-star 5-diamond resorts, Or we can now go back and partner as in fitness and wellness and education and food science and dietitians and physicians and talk about why food is medicine and how we can make a difference in people's lives.
And then you can take it the other way around. That's happening in the traditional world of medicine and food. Is that there's I don't call it synergy. They like to call it synergy, but it's not a synergy. It's a conspiration, or they are conspiring the food industry and the world of medicine into getting our kids sick. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Because if you get them at a younger age, chronically ill, they're good clients for them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? So what you're doing is the opposite. You're creating synergy. You're not conspiring. Mm-hmm. You're creating synergy between the tradition or the traditional world of food and the medicine and the wellness and fitness. When you say food is medicine, it is true.
Yeah.
Food is medicine. And exercise is medicine.
Yeah.
The only difference is that there's no side effect. And then we're talking about choices. Ultimately, each choice we make is going to make us.
Yes.
Okay, and we're talking about a lifetime of unhealthy eating, and unfortunately, you're going to pay the tab sooner or later.
Just like your dad did.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
He eventually had to pay the piper.
Exactly.
Humans, we like immediate, instant reward. That's why we do what we do. And then we don't think about the long-term ramifications.
What do I look like 20 years from now after I do this?
So if we had, and I think now with technology, we are seeing that. We're now able to enter data, and AI can show us, while you're entering all the foods, you say, well, what if I ate this and this every single day? Here's how I look now. How am I going to look and feel in 6 months?
They do have that?
And it shows you a video of you.
Wow, that's
of you completely changing, and it's mind-boggling.
What kind of food do I eat to grow more hair?
So
I need more hair.
No kidding, man.
What I'm saying,
on that train.
and that goes to you, Chef, when you start thinking about more of a conscious way of eating, and me with inner fitness and my work since then and now is all based on awareness and making the right choices. Like I said, every choice you make ends up ultimately making that decision for you.
As a pioneer of, I wanted to ask you about this plant forward thing.
Yes.
As a pioneer of that, what can you tell us about that, and where's it going?
Oh, I think it's not only here to stay. It's going to. I think the next generation basically gets it far greater than we have ever have. What I mean by that is when I talked about my dad and that generation, baby boomers and others, it was the presence of meat and the opportunity of it was basically showing your not only your wealth, your ability to provide. All right, and so I would tell oftentimes my mom would make a pot of red beans and rice and it had a ham hock in it. All right, as when I was smaller. By the time I got to high school, it was 5 guys. There was 5 ham hocks. All right, and so the recipe didn't change, but our economics changed.
Right.
All right, the steak once a week or once a month became once or twice a week. All right, the economics changed. The opportunity to go to a fast food and get a burger. All right, was a treat. Now it's ambiguous. It's happening all the time.
So,
okay, and so
day.
the opportunity of the plant-based revolution, all right, is really basically romancing it. And so that's when my part of being that part of that pioneer was really about health and wellness, focusing on the things that's really, really good for you, right? And why is it good, and basically pronouncing it. So well before Miraval, I was up in the restaurant in Scottsdale, and I looked at the foods that I was making and saying that, can my customers continue to eat this high-fat diet every day? All right, and so this time I'm going to make the foods. I'm going to basically make some health-conscious items on the menu, but I'm not going to tell you. Because I saw that kiss of death when I was working for Hyatt, and I worked for Four Seasons. We had Heart de Notion, we had Cuisine Naturelle, and the customer thought that if these are the items that had something taken out of it, so it may not be good. So I prepped the food, then I threw it away. Then I prepped the food, then I threw it away because no one ate it, no one ordered it.
Because it was healthy, marked.
It was marked healthy.
Right.
So now I just gave it regular menu heading.
Right.
All right, it's right at the top. but I did something dramatically different. So instead of, when I was working at Morton's Steakhouse as a chef there, we put down the 12-ounce steak, 18-ounce steak. The size of the steak was important.
Right.
Same meat I did today. I said a wild mushroom and barley, a morel mushroom risotto with this particular farm's ramps and asparagus complemented with the sirloin of beef.
Nice.
So you still get the beef. But why do I have to search to find it?
Right.
Because the morel mushrooms is only available these 6 weeks. And this asparagus and these ramps is from this particular farm.
Right.
Okay.
Makes it very special.
I'm choosing barley instead of arboreal rice. Okay. It has this nutty flavor. And I'm giving you a lean, great, high quality meat, but it's just enough to complement. So I'm not telling you it is 18 ounces because it's only 4 to 5.
Right.
Okay. But that's all you need.
Sure.
But it was extremely satisfying. And so the remarks were, oh my God, this was different. Right. That's how I got to Miraval.
And people ordered it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
I was recruited because of that. All right. Because it was so different, but it was so important. Those things I believe is still today. All right. As in going back to eating, buying and making a conscious effort to choosing foods that's in season today. Okay. Finding things that are locally grown today. Really supporting your farmers markets today. Okay. That's in season today. Now designing that menu around that. Especially with the cost of items, now I can afford this protein item, but I can afford the higher quality because I'm choosing and using a lesser portion size.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. We gave you the large portion size in order for you to take the doggy
You're
bag home.
Yeah.
Because I was marketing and advertising that I remember that restaurant that I couldn't eat all the food. It must have been great.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So, rather than I feel satisfied, and I remember that restaurant because the food was great and I feel good.
Right.
So, Chef, here's what is remarkable about this is that you brought up a huge point, and which is at the core of obesity and illness. You know, you changed the dynamic. You took it from comfort food to conscious food, or comfort eating to conscious eating.
Yeah.
When I wrote Mind Over Body, I put a story there about how it's not so much the food, but the emotion attached to the food. And I cite an example of a lady that I worked with, and she wanted to lose weight, but we dove into the mind aspect of things. You know, instead of looking at, say, okay, here are the exercises you need to do. My questions were, what happened when you were growing up? What kind of food were you eating? Yeah. What kind of an environment were you surrounded? But it turned out that all the dinners that she had with her father, and her father was a hard-working farmer. The only time he was happy was around dinner. But guess what? The mom cooked heavy food.
Sure.
So what happened, the lady, as a young kid, she equated happiness of her father, hence her
comfort
happiness,
food.
And her mother, to comfort food.
Yeah.
Hence what she was eating.
Yep.
So she ended up cooking everything that her mom was cooking, you know, and that was the problem. So would you agree with me that behind every food there's an emotion
Oh,
that
yes,
you need to be addressing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that because that's my next venture. My next venture is really, and it's 20 years later, and I really believe that plant-based and conscious cuisine is still relevant now and even more relevant now. But now I'm speaking about eat soulfully for your health and for your wealth, and really revising these comfort food items such as that red beans and rice. Instead of a pork ham hock, it is a smoked turkey.
Right.
But I'm also adding other vegetables into that pot as well.
And beans and rice are good for you,
beans
right?
and rice
There's
is really good.
That.
But
complete protein.
But my dad, from being in New Orleans, there was a pot of rice in the refrigerator or on the stove every single day, but it was always long grain white rice. I had no idea until becoming a chef that there was black japonica rice, there was red rice, there was jasmine rice. There's 50 different rices. So my point is, Dad, Mom, brothers, why are we settling just for this one? And there's a proliferation of other flavors. And the other flavors is also better for you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so now I'm going to give you that red beans and rice with brown rice or fried rice or even a cauliflower rice. You follow what I'm saying?
Sure.
All right. And so that's the point, is taking some of these comfort foods of other different ethnic regions and cultures and then bringing them back out. For example, chicken noodle soup, or known as chicken noodle soup, or a Mexican chicken noodle soup, or a Caribbean chicken. Every region, every culture has their version of a chicken soup.
Sure.
But if you're sick, that's what you want.
Oh yeah, I love
talking about that.
It helps when you're sick. It helps.
Absolutely, and there's documented proof why it helps.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Absolutely. Chef, your work has touched nearly every corner of the culinary world, from fine dining to healthcare to senior living. I want you to tell me what has made such an impact in your life to continue making efforts towards that direction in helping the whole, as opposed to a certain demographic.
Well, I wasn't prepared for that one. That was an interesting question. I'm not sure, Nordine, if that's been a blessing or a curse for me. Okay, because I'm always thinking and I'm never satisfied. What I mean by that, my roots are in French cuisine. My passion is in Spanish cuisine, but I came to Arizona to do Southwestern and I knew nothing about it. So I dove in it and I defined it by going to Native American reservations to really understand what Southwest meant. And then going to Mexico to understand what Southwest meant, because Scottsdale isn't Southwest. Okay? It's the indigenous people that created that. All right? And then as I continue to move and evolve, I just want to continue to learn. So I guess the answer to that is a quest for continual learning. I love food. I am a foodaholic. Okay, I love teaching. I love being involved, and I want to go where the greatest need is. I don't have a desire working in the finest hotels and restaurants anymore. I want to be where I can help others become successful, as in opening their own restaurant, bringing their product to life, but also
giving back.
It also, providing that energy and that vitality to those who need it the most.
Yeah, and I would have loved to see a book here, Conscious Cuisine, but reading that book, you see all kinds. It's like you're traveling the world.
Yeah.
But all healthy. The same food that you see in restaurants that otherwise would be drastically higher in calories is actually healthy in your recipes. So thank you for that. Yes.
I know you've worked with some big name brands like Jenny Craig, Tyson Foods, McDonald's. How do you work with those types of companies and still maintain the focus of health through food? How do you make healthy food with these companies? It's
really what their intent is, right? And so their intent, their desire is bringing in guys like myself, all right? But at the end of the day, do I provide enough where they can make a financial decision to move forward, right?
Do they listen to you, and do they do it?
They do at the time, but then later on, it can be nixed at any moment. You follow what I'm saying? And so as a consultant, the luxury of it is doing the best and providing them that deliverable, all right, but not having an emotional attachment of the ownership. Okay, when I'm working for a company full time and I'm grabbing my paycheck, is unbearable. It's disheartening when you say that this is your goal, your vision, and your mission, and you fall short from it. It's the illusion of what to me, all right? And that to me is what is our profit margin? What is that we're trying to achieve financially? And they forget about the why we came in business in the first place, why we feel that we're providing this for our customer, why it's important for our customer, all right? Because that will answer how we get there, and then I'll give you what you achieve.
Did you see them listen to your recommendations though at times, and that made a big difference in sales or in customer feedback?
Yes, I saw Jenny Craig make that change. I saw Compass Group make that change. And with all of the different iterations that we've done with that, and many of the corporations that I work with that, and healthcare and also senior living, but also in business and industry. McDonald's was always pushing for that next opportunity. And so theirs was looking in the future as saying, what is those is really at the beginning of the plant-based movement, and working with McDonald's and Adwala and some really high-end people are very successful or innovative people that help drive or create a different concept. So they pick from me 20 different concepts. Okay. Right. And so now, which of these concepts come to life? I saw little iterations throughout many of the menus, but not the full restaurant.
Okay.
Right? And so were we able to empower that decision? Yeah, because they saw that it's marketable. Right. One day you're going to see the peanut butter and jelly ice cream sandwich. All right. All right. Made with, a low fat peanut butter peanut butter yogurt, frozen yogurt, and a raspberry or blueberry sorbet. Okay, sure. With angel food cake, which is resembling the bread, if you will.
Right.
And so those were the type of the ideas that I would bring. Something that's fun, something that's portable, something that's engaging, something
and that people would enjoy
at the same time, but it's also healthy and but it brings back this taste memory. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so. But it needs courage to move that forward.
Based on the latest news, we're seeing weight loss companies shutting down. Are you aware of that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why?
Because they can buy a pill.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, this is the big question here. I'm going to ask you what you think about the pill or the injection, because I don't think that's the show for it. However, I'm going to ask you, what would you say to people who are taking those drugs, who are starving themselves, when in reality they shouldn't? Hence, they should be eating healthy and exercising while taking those drugs. As a man who loves to cook and create cuisines, what can you tell them?
Well, it's a hard decision because some individuals, they have tried the traditional manners of eating properly, doing the right exercising, and not be able to shed that, whatever their metabolism changes. And so they see that as a relief, as in dealing with severe obesity and so forth. So I don't question that, and I understand
Absolutely,
that. Right? But then there's the vanity boat as well, right? That there's a quick fix so I can make that happen. All right? My only comment that I would have to a family member, all right, is long term, all right, is that because it being so new, okay, there's no evidence to say what it's going to do or harm or affect you long term, okay, but I can tell you what the celery is going to do long term. I can tell you what this bell pepper is going to do long term. I can tell you about the lycopene and the tomatoes long term. The leafy green vegetables, the asparagus, the anti-inflammatory fruits and vegetables. And so that's what my point is that even if there is an opportunity to embrace what is accessible, affordable, and proven, and also quite delicious, all right, is not a better alternative, is a better direction than the alternative of the simple
For those who are watching, listening to this show, this is what I have to say. Listen to your doctor, and also eat healthy and exercise. The drugs that you're taking may help you, but in the long term, a choice you're making for life.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're making that choice, then include healthy eating and exercise. That's my suggestion to those who are taking those kinds of drugs. Well, Chef, to wrap up, I want to thank you again for being here, for being my friend for a long time. Yeah. I love you, man. And this is, I'm so happy to have you here. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chef, it was great having you here.
Thank you, Ken.
Chef Neff. And if you're as hungry as I am now after listening to this podcast, go eat something healthy. Have an apple or something. I think I got to have an apple. I'm going to do that next.
You mean you didn't bring us food?
No food, man.
Oh, man. Anyway, please like, subscribe, share this episode. Comment on it. So, and we're looking forward to seeing you on our next podcast of No Limits Life.
Ciao, ciao.